G-Day, everyone. The 2025 election's coming up fast.
Yeah, it is.
And it feels like, well, kind of make or break for Australia, especially with the whole climate thing, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This election is a big one.
Huge. That's why today we're doing a deep dive into something that could really change the game. Independent candidates.
Yeah,
Specifically the ones backed by Climate 200.
right.
Now, before you go thinking, oh, another political party, it's not.
Right at
It's
all.
much more interesting than that.
Yeah, think of it like a support system,
Right.
a way to give a boost to, everyday Aussies who really want to create a better future.
Exactly. And they're all about backing people who are committed to, well, three main things.
Yeah.
Tackling climate change, obviously.
Of course.
Cleaning up politics, getting rid of all the dodgy stuff,
Yeah,
and making sure women are safe and respected.
absolutely.
And get this, in the last election, Climate 200 actually helped get 11 climate-focused independents into Parliament.
Yeah, and they've already been making a difference, shaking things up a bit and showing that real change is possible.
Exactly, yeah. So let's unpack Climate 200 a bit more, yeah.
Okay.
It all started back in 2019 with Simon Holmes' Accord.
Right.
What was it, I wonder, that kind of sparked this whole movement?
Well, I think it came from, I guess, a sense of frustration that the big parties, the main ones,
Yeah.
they just weren't taking climate change seriously enough.
Yep.
So Climate 200 wanted to, change the game,
Yeah.
make sure climate action was, front and center
Yeah.
in Aussie
Right at
politics.
center, yeah. And they've got this amazing funding model. It's all grassroots people power.
Absolutely, yeah. Over 11,200 everyday Aussies have chipped in,
Wow.
donated what they can to support this.
That's incredible. And the coolest part is every dollar donated on their website goes straight to the local campaigns.
Right.
No admin fees or anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Because separate donors cover all the operational costs. Talk about maximizing impact, eh?
It's a really efficient model. Make sure the money is used where it's needed most, supporting those on the ground, fighting for change in their own communities.
Absolutely, yeah. But they don't just back anyone, right? There's a proper selection process.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So to get Climate 200 support, you got to tick a lot of boxes.
That's right.
First off, you have to be truly independent,
Yeah,
not tied to any party's agenda.
exactly. And they need, genuine community backing.
Right.
It's got to be clear they're in touch with the needs of the people they want to represent.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And of course, they have to have a realistic shot at winning.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else are they looking for in a candidate?
Well, they need to be really committed to those three core principles we talked about.
Yep.
Strong action on climate change.
Yep.
Integrity in politics.
Uh-huh.
And championing respect and equality for women.
Yeah.
They look for people who are, passionate, who can articulate their vision.
Yeah.
People with a clear vision for the future.
Yeah, and reading the stories on their website is really inspiring.
Yeah.
Everyday Aussies, all walks of life, just donating what they can.
It is, yeah.
There's this one story about a grandmother who just wants her grandkids to inherit a healthy planet.
Ah.
This bloke who's sick of, big businesses having too much influence in Canberra.
Right.
This young person who sees these independent candidates as a beacon of hope,
Yeah.
It's actually really heartwarming.
It is. It really speaks to that growing desire for a different kind of politics.
Yeah.
One that's driven by people, not powerful interests.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really exciting to see the surge of support for these independent candidates,
Yeah.
people who are really committed to their communities and to actually tackling the big issues.
Yeah. And it's not just about, good vibes and warm fuzzies.
Right.
These independents are actually getting stuff done in Parliament.
Oh, absolutely. They've been instrumental in pushing for stronger climate action.
Yeah.
For example, one of the Teal independents was really key in shaping the debate around the climate change bill back in 2024.
Right.
She used her position to negotiate amendments that made the bill's targets stronger and the accountability mechanisms, without her influence, who knows, the bill might have been much weaker.
Yeah. I know some people think, independents, they're just one-trick ponies, all climate, all the time. But that doesn't seem to be the case with these Climate 200 folks.
Yeah, that's a pretty common misconception, I think.
Yeah.
While climate action is, definitely a core focus for many of them,
Yeah.
they're also really engaged with a whole range of other issues,
Mhm.
political integrity, transparency in government, strengthening democracy, social justice.
Yeah.
They're bringing like a fresh perspective
Mhm.
and a commitment to evidence-based policymaking, which, let's be honest, is often missing from the major parties.
Yeah, for sure. And they're not afraid to, speak their minds,
Right.
challenge the way things are done,
Yeah.
and hold those in power accountable.
Yeah,
They're not beholden to party politics or
exactly.
special interests, which is huge.
It's a really crucial point, I think.
No.
Their independence lets them be, truly representative
Yeah.
to vote with their conscience, for the needs of their communities.
Yeah.
And not just blindly follow, the party line.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It feels like they're putting people before politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It's about restoring faith in our democracy, showing that our elected officials can actually be, genuinely responsive to the needs and aspirations of the people they represent.
For sure. Yeah. And it's exciting to think about what impact this movement could have on the 2025 election.
Yeah.
What do you think? Could we see another wave of teal independence? Or maybe even a different color come through?
Well, I think the 2022 election really showed us that voters are hungry for change.
Yeah.
They want representatives who are, authentic,
Yeah.
trustworthy, and committed to actually making a difference.
Mhm.
Climate 200 and the candidates they support are tapping into that desire.
Right.
So whether it's teal or, another color, I think we're going to see more and more Aussies demanding independent voices in Parliament.
It's about giving people a real choice.
Exactly. It's about, breaking that two-party stranglehold,
Mm.
offering voters a real alternative,
Yeah.
and injecting some fresh ideas and energy into our political system.
Yeah. And it's not just about electing more independents.
Right.
It's about changing the way politics is done in this country.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah. How do you see that happening?
Well, I think the rise of these independent candidates is forcing the major parties to actually listen,
Yeah.
to pay attention to issues they might have otherwise ignored, and to raise their own ambitions. They can't just be complacent anymore. It's raising the bar for everyone,
Yeah.
pushing for a more progressive and responsive political landscape.
So it's a win-win, even for those who might not actually vote for an independent candidate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's about making sure that the voices of everyday Australians are heard,
Yeah.
regardless of who they vote for.
Right.
It's about empowering communities, giving them a say in their future,
Yeah.
and ensuring that our democracy actually reflects the will of the people.
Yeah. And this is where you, our listeners, come in. This isn't just a spectator sport. You have the power to shape the future of this country.
Your vote is your voice.
Yeah.
Your engagement, your support,
Yeah.
your willingness to get involved.
Yeah.
It can make a real difference.
Yeah.
It's about, taking ownership of our democracy.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we're not just, passive observers.
Right.
We're active participants who can actually shape the kind of country we want to live in.
So how can people, get involved, be a part of this whole movement? What can they actually do?
Well, there's heaps of ways to contribute.
Yeah.
You can start by heading over to the Climate 200 website.
Right.
Have a look around, learn about the candidates they're backing.
Yeah.
Maybe even chuck in a donation. Every little bit helps.
Yeah, for sure.
You can volunteer your time,
Right.
spread the word, chat to your mates and family about the stuff. And most importantly, I reckon, make sure you're enrolled to vote.
Yeah.
And that you actually get out there and cast your ballot in 2025.
Yeah, use your voice.
Exactly. Make your voice heard. Use your democratic rights to create change,
Yeah, for sure.
And this is where things get really interesting, I think.
Okay.
The rise of these independent candidates. It's like a whole paradigm shift in Aussie politics. It's moving away from the old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It's like rejecting the status quo.
Yeah.
People want something better.
Yeah, it feels like people aren't just going to accept whatever the big parties put in front of them anymore.
Yeah.
They're demanding more, they expect more, and they're willing to fight for it.
Absolutely. It's a sign that people are ready for a change,
Yeah.
They want a future where where politics is more representative, more responsive,
Yeah.
and more aligned with the values of everyday Aussies.
Yeah.
And they're realizing they actually have the power to make that happen.
Yeah, they do. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with something to think about,
Yeah. Right.
This movement, this whole surge of support for these independent candidates, it's about more than just winning elections.
Right.
It's about taking back our democracy, putting the power back in the hands of the people, creating a brighter future for Australia.
It is. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play, in shaping our nation's destiny.
Exactly. It's about realizing that we're not just passengers on this ride. We're the ones behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And we get to choose where we go.
We do.
So let's choose a path to a future where our voices are heard, where our values are reflected in our leaders.
That's right.
And where our planet is protected for generations to come.
That's it.
Head over to the Climate 200 website. See if there's a candidate in your electorate that you connect with.
Yeah.
And think about getting involved.
Get involved.
This is about shaping the future of Australia.
One electorate at a time.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you have the power to make a difference.